She redefined success after burning out. At first, she thought it was exhaustion. Then she realized it was something deeper, a system she could no longer survive inside. Burnout is often framed as a personal failure, a lack of resilience, poor time management. In modern careers, pushing through is praised, while stopping is questioned. But burnout doesn't arrive because someone is weak. It arrives because something has been misaligned for too long. The body and mind are not broken by effort itself. They are broken by effort extended indefinitely in a direction that yields diminishing returns on the things that matter most. She had been extending effort in exactly that way, for longer than she would later be willing to admit. To understand how she redefined success, we need to look at what her career once rewarded. She was high-performing, reliable, the person teams leaned on when pressure rose. Her calendar was full. Her output was consistent. From the outside, she embodied success. She was the proof point that the system worked, that if you showed up reliably, produced consistently, and absorbed difficulty without complaint, advancement would follow. And it did. The system rewarded her exactly as promised. The cost of that reward was what she hadn't fully calculated, but the cost accumulated quietly. Rest felt temporary. Recovery never finished. Motivation required force instead of curiosity. She began measuring days by how much she could endure, not how much she could create. The signals were there, but they were easy to rationalize. Everyone was busy. Everyone was tired. The workplace rewarded endurance so visibly and so consistently that declining endurance felt like a personal failing rather than an accurate reading of a system that was asking too much. She stayed inside that misread for longer than was wise, until she wasn't just tired anymore. The burnout didn't arrive as collapse. It arrived as numbness. Work that once mattered felt distant. Wins felt muted. The drive that once fueled her success no longer responded to pressure, and that scared her more than exhaustion ever had. Exhaustion can be addressed with rest. Numbness is something different. It signals that the connection between effort and meaning has been severed, that the internal machinery that converts work into satisfaction has been running without fuel for so long that it has stopped running at all. Because for the first time, effort stopped working. And when effort fails, the question shifts from how hard you can push to whether the definition of success itself needs to change. She tried to fix it the way she fixed everything else, by pushing harder. Short breaks, productivity systems, better routines. She optimized sleep, reorganized tasks, tightened boundaries that never truly held. On paper, the solutions were correct. In practice, nothing changed. The exhaustion returned faster each time, deeper than before. She was solving the wrong problem with increasing precision. The issue wasn't her routines. It wasn't her discipline. It was a fundamental mismatch between what the work was asking of her and what she was capable of giving without destroying herself in the process. People noticed, but misunderstood. They told her to rest more, to take a vacation, to power through one more quarter. Burnout, they implied, was temporary, a phase, something discipline could overcome. And for a while, she wanted to believe that, believing it was easier than the alternative. But rest didn't restore her. It only paused the decline. The deeper issue wasn't workload. It was misalignment. The work demanded a version of herself she could no longer sustain. The pace rewarded sacrifice without questioning its cost. And success was measured by output alone, detached from impact or meaning. She had been producing reliably in a system that didn't ask and didn't care whether what she was producing was meaningful to her. The system needed throughput. She had been delivering it. Admitting this felt dangerous. Her identity was built on capability, on being dependable, on delivering under pressure. Acknowledging burnout meant questioning the very traits that made her valuable, and that made the conflict intensely personal. To say that the system was asking too much was also to say that she had agreed to give too much, that she had participated in her own depletion without objecting. She began pulling back in small ways, saying no where she once said yes, delegating instead of absorbing, creating distance between herself and expectations she had internalized. Each step felt like loss, of control, of relevance, of momentum. But beneath each loss was something she hadn't expected to find, a small but growing sense of honesty. Yet alongside the fear, something unexpected surfaced. Relief, not from doing less, but from pretending less, from no longer forcing herself to fit a system that rewarded depletion. The burnout wasn't asking for rest. It was asking for a different definition of success. And that distinction, once she understood it clearly, changed everything. Rest would have restored her capacity to continue as before. And once she understood that, returning to the old version of ambition became impossible, because the cost was no longer theoretical. It was lived, and it demanded a response deep in recovery. The real conflict emerged when she stopped blaming exhaustion and started questioning the rules she had been following. If working less didn't fix the problem, then the problem wasn't ours. It was incentives. The system rewarded visibility over sustainability, speed over depth, saying yes over choosing well. And she had internalized those rules so completely that stepping outside them felt like failure. The internalization was thorough. She didn't just follow the rules. She had come to believe in them. She faced an uncomfortable truth. Burnout wasn't an interruption to her success. It was a result of how success had been defined. Every milestone she had chased demanded more availability, more urgency, more emotional labor. Each win raised the bar, but never adjusted the cost. And she realized that even if she recovered fully, returning to the same definition would only lead her back here again. Recovery without redefinition is repetition. So she began rewriting it, not publicly, quietly, internally. She evaluated work by different metrics. Did it create lasting value? Did it require constant depletion? Did it allow space to think, to rest, to live? The answers didn't align with her current path, but the new questions themselves were already changing how she read every opportunity that came before her. She was filtering now. This created tension everywhere. Some people questioned her commitment. Others framed her boundaries as disengagement. Opportunities slowed. Praise faded. And that tested her deeply, because redefining success often looks like underperforming to those still chasing the old version. She was aware of that perception. She had to choose whether the perception mattered more than the reality it misread. There were moments she doubted herself, wondered if she was shrinking instead of evolving, if she was protecting herself too much, if ambition had simply burned out along with energy. The line between healthy boundary and fearful retreat is not always obvious from the inside. She examined that line honestly. She could not always be certain which side she was on, but clarity grew where guilt once lived. She wasn't withdrawing from effort. She was redirecting it toward work that compounded instead of consumed, toward roles that valued judgment over urgency, toward outcomes that didn't require self-erasure. And once she experienced that difference, there was no return. What the new version asked of her was harder in some ways. It required clearer thinking, more careful selection, greater tolerance of the uncertainty that comes with choosing deliberately rather than simply accepting whatever arrives. The conflict reached its peak, not when she stopped working hard, but when she accepted that working hard was no longer the point, because a version of success that demands constant sacrifice eventually collapses. And she had reached a moment where collapse was no longer an option. Only change was. The redefinition didn't arrive as a declaration. It emerged through practice. She chose work that allowed depth instead of urgency, environments that respected limits instead of testing them. Success became quieter, but sturdier. Progress felt slower on the surface, yet far more sustainable underneath. The trajectory was less dramatic. The compounding was more real. Burnout didn't end her ambition. It refined it. She stopped measuring worth by endurance and started measuring it by impact. Not how much she could carry, but what truly mattered. The energy that once leaked into survival returned as focus. Creativity resurfaced. And for the first time in years, effort felt regenerative instead of draining. She ended days feeling spent in a productive sense, used fully, but replenished by the nature of what she had spent herself on. That experience had been unavailable to her for a long time. Her story reflects a shift many are approaching, but few articulate. That success built on depletion eventually fails. That productivity without sustainability is a short-term illusion, and that redefining success isn't weakness, it's evolution. The version of success she left behind was not without value. It had taught her what she was capable of. What it could not teach her was what was worth being capable of. The version of success she left behind rewarded sacrifice. The one she built rewards intention. And that difference changed everything. Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective becomes the beginning of a new future. She